all night. It's been neck and neck. It's been, basically he was down by a thread. But I believe we can declare this. If you look at the trend, they had to count all those rural votes, right? So all the city votes got their votes in, but the rural votes, takes a little bit more time. They're country roads. They got to take, walk the ballot boxes, whatever, down 15 miles, whatever. So it looks like the markets, if you look at the trend, it looks like that the new president of Peru is Bashir Assad. How in the fuck did he do that? Oh my God, Bashir Assad, he won with 135.1% of the vote. Bashir Assad is the new president of Peru. That settles it. That's how much the Syrian people love their totalitarian dictators. They'll even get the people of Peru to vote for them. Anyway, Syria, they don't care about democracy. They don't want power for themselves. They're all about giving the power away to the royalists. But look at Peru. Oh my God. Looks like Pedro Castillo has done it. Looks like Pedro Castillo has fucking done it. The markets have declared Pedro Castillo the winner. The markets are going berserk because the vote total, Kiko was up by a point, percentage point. But now as those rural votes are coming in, there's 26 regions as those rural votes are coming in. It looks like Pedro Castillo just won. Leftist politics is not dead in the Americas. The South is going to rise again. The global South, motherfucker. Socialism ain't dead in America. Well, it's dead in America. It's dead in the US of A. Socialism is dead in the USA. And it's been dead since the USA began. Socialism's dead in America, but it's not dead in the Americas. Oh my God. Thank God for the South Americans and the Latin Americans. Thank God for Pepe Mujica. Thank God for Evo Morales. Jesus Christ. Without Evo Morales or Pepe Mujica, Jesus Christ, would we even, Colorado wants to take the credit. Yeah, you should thank Pepe Mujica first, Colorado. We better start inviting the South and Latin America into the United States before they form their own political and military bloc and overthrow us. Jesus Christ, we go around, with the gunpoint, say, hey, Iraq, you better get democracy. Meanwhile, we got the Electoral College. Syria's democracy is as democratic as the Electoral College is. As much as I want to say, hey, Syria, look at the election of Peru, right? The election of Peru, that was an actual competitive election. So I want to, kind of make fun of Syria's democracy. But, look, America, your electoral college, what kind of fucking democracy? Where are the leftists at? Where are the socialists at? You have no socialists. Your fucking democracy is so, devoid and has such a drought. Your well is dry. Where is your heart and soul? Yeah, the fucking conservatives, they say, their mind or whatever, they're the brains. But where's your fucking heart? So this is fantastic news. Melanie Stansberry, we just won one progressive. Melanie Stansberry, now we got Pedro Castillo. Holy shit. It would be awesome to drive to Peru. We should want Peru to become an American state. If they have a referendum and they said, yes, we want to become an American state, America should be ready to pick them up. It would be wonderful. You know what they got in, Peru? They got Machu Picchu, they got llamas, they got silver and copper, and they got lithium, and they got 32 million peoples, and they got the Andes Mountains, and they got the Amazon rainforest. They got a rainforest. It'd be nice to drive to the fucking rainforest. So the markets are going crazy because Pedro Castillo has tipped the scales, and so I think we should just declare this shit. When you're trying to cook some popcorn, you can wait until the popcorn is, every single kernel is popped. But if you wait too long, the whole thing will be burnt, and you'll have to just throw the whole, and then redo it all. What's my point is, elections are like a bowl of popcorn. Eventually, you just gotta call this shit. Yeah, some of the kernels aren't gonna get fucking popped. But we won. Remember when Bernie Sanders won Iowa? And then remember when he won New Hampshire? And then remember when he won Nevada? Any other fucking year in America, that means you're the president. Anybody gonna call it? Anybody gonna call it? All these oppositional YouTubing assholes. Where was Kalinsky? Where the fuck was Rising? Where the fuck was anybody? Nobody gonna call it. Ultimately, the person, it's the threshold, 50% plus one. So some assholes in the back, and they're the ones that counted the winning vote. But if you didn't have, you're not right there. So then you just have to, what you do with a bowl of popcorn is when they pop, basically when it's just the votes are trickling in. There aren't any more votes left. So when the candidate, I think that people just want to be 100% certain, 100% certain. Well, unless we got videotape of the motherfuckers actually counting this shit, you call when it's finished. And so ultimately when a candidate has reached a threshold where it's impossible for the other candidate to beat them, they got the majority. They got 50% plus one. The election is over. The election is over. Pedro Castillo, I'm so fucking excited about this. Pedro Castillo, I want to talk about who Pedro Castillo and what he represents. But first I want to celebrate a little bit because I think Pedro Castillo, Melanie Stansberry, Pedro Castillo, I'm going to smoke a bowl for Pedro Castillo. Whether you did it or didn't, this is so fucking close, following leftist politics, following Evo Morales, following a goddamn Pepe Mujica. Man, Americans are terrified of communists and leftists and socialists. They are scared. They're fucking dickless. They're scared dickless. They're a bunch of dickless Nicholases. They are too afraid. What? Republican? Democrat? That's the only thing that's conservative as fuck, you fucking motherfucker. That's all you can think of? Okay, anyways. Pedro Castillo. So, yeah, Syria, still going to pick on you. Look at, this is a competitive election. This was a competitive election. They didn't know who won that night. They had no idea. And then if fucking Kiko came out and said she had 95% of the goddamn vote. Kiko, you won with 95%. You're a liar, Kiko. Pedro Castillo, you got 50, you got 95%. You're a liar, Pedro. No, you didn't get. Even if he wins, it's going to be, squeak. Even if he wins by like a lot, 60-40 is a landslide. So 95%, shut the fuck up. That is not a democracy. Assad eliminated 95% of his opposition by cheating behind closed doors without an election. You know how Pedro Castillo became president, or almost? He eliminated 16 candidates with an election. The way he won the presidency was he got more votes than the other guys. That's not how Assad won. He had a sham election, 95%. They have to get 35 senators to approve of their fucking opposition candidates. They eliminated 20, 30, 50 other candidates behind closed doors without an election. Pedro Castillo knocked 16 motherfuckers out with one election, then had a second round runoff and eliminated the final one. That's how he became president. So Aaron Mate, Richard Medhurst. I don't know if you see how close and competitive Peru's election was. Divergers law, presidential republics. This is just, they got to be competitive and close, motherfucker. You're going to tell me that was a free and fair and legitimate, democratically legitimate election? You can go ahead. U.S. occupation is bullshit. Fuck the dirty wars. Fuck Israel and U.S. occupation in Syria. A lot of people are fucking with serious shit. Maybe you could say that they're, they have a sham election because they got a lot of shit to deal with. Okay, fine. But what you can't say is that they have to deal with a lot of shit and they have legitimate elections. You're just repeating their fucking talking points. See? Syria's elections are good and legit, and Assad is actually the real president of everything and everybody. So Fiorella Isabel, I hope it's, super exciting there in Lima. She pointed out how there was no Western media out in the streets. She was pointing out how close the elections were. You do have no idea, actually, this is fascism versus Marxism, and it looks like the Marxist has won. It looks like the Marxist has won. So this is exciting. This is exciting. This is actual leftist politics. Leftist politics is dead and gone in America, but not in Peru. So Kiko Fujimori, you know who Alberto Fujimori is? He had massacres against his own people. He took a professor and 9 students out of the classroom, out of their homes, and killed the shit out of them. That was in 1991 and 1992. He went to a block party. This building was raising money to have building repairs, and they killed the shit out of the people who was trying to take care of their community, trying to take care of their building. He killed 15 people at that massacre, including an 8-year-old. So that's who Alberto, and then the forced sterilization. How in the fuck is Kiko Fujimori? I mean, I'll give this credit to Kiko. She has helped rehabilitate Alberto Fujimori's fucking, name big time. Pardon the motherfucker, he's old as shit. But forced sterilization, these fucking massacres, Alberto Fujimori was a sick, fucked up guy. And you should not carry the Fujimori fucking, free market principles? Was he a Milton Friedmanist? I looked at the numbers. The numbers aren't, do not justify all the crazy shit that Alberto Fujimori was doing. Forced sterilization, forcing women to get their tubes tied because them damn poor women keep having, a bunch of kids like rabbits. And Alberto Fujimori, he thought it was best for Peru if the women of Peru quit having babies. Where did Alberto Fujimori, he was bragging in China about that shit. He was bragging about, well, you all got a baby policy, but we got this sterilization program. The U.S. was actually financing it until it got controversial and then pulled the plug on the thing. So UN was involved in this shit in the beginning. But they pulled the plug, so shit, if this is, corruption beyond what America's willing to. Forced sterilization. Forced sterilization, over 7,000, 7,500 of the women who had to go through the surgery said that they did it, they were forced, they were threatened into it, they were coerced. They did it after a cesarean section. They just fucking did it to them without even letting anybody know. Forced sterilization, that's who the Fujimoris are. The fact that she was even that fucking close, this Kiko Fujimori must be the greatest goddamn fucking human being on the planet. They're gonna fucking, unless they're just, half of Peru are just a bunch of wicked pieces of shit. If anything, it almost feels like with this kind of corruption, the conservative position is to vote for the goddamn Marxists. The conservative position is to vote for the leftists. You want your country to go down, to hell in a handbasket? You want your country to disintegrate into a bunch of dog shit? You want it to... So the new president of Peru, Bashir Assad, holy shit. If Bashir Assad actually won, that had to be, you think Aaron Mate would agree that, if Bashir Assad won the Peru presidential election, you think Aaron Mate would admit that that's a bullshit sham democracy? That is, how the fuck did Assad do that? I don't know. Well, that proves it, right? If Bashir Assad wins the people of Peru, then that just proves it. That just proves that the Western powers have been wrong all this time. So Peru it's a presidential republic. They got compulsory voting. Everybody's got government IDs. You got to bring your government ID to vote. And they got compulsory voting, meaning that if you don't fucking vote, then you get fined. So they have a high turnout rate. 17 million, it looks like, voted or so out of 32 million. So that's actually barely than 50%, but that's 32 million. That's 5 times bigger than Colorado. Peru is 5 times bigger in population than Colorado. Peru is Machu Picchu, copper, silver. They are not a beggar sitting on a gold mine. They're beggars sitting on a silver mine, copper mines. They got llama mines, and they got 45% of Peru is native. So the fact that Alberto Fujimori is going to go after the Native Americans when basically half the fucking country are Native Americans. 95% of the country are Christians. They have a shit ton of lithium. They just found some by the border of Bolivia and Peru. There's the Andes Mountains, Machu Picchu, Incans, llamas, the Amazon rainforest, the tropical rainforest, and Pedro Castillo. Pedro Castillo. So where does Pedro Castillo stand on the issues? What is he going to bring to... You have the Constitution was written by the Fujimori, so he's going to, go ahead and clean that Constitution shit up, get Peru a brand spanking new Constitution. He's going to nationalize mining oil, hydroelectric, and gas. He's actually going to have, universal health care. He's not so fucking right-wing. Boris Johnson, he's a right-winger who has universal health care. Angela Merkel, look at all these right-wing motherfuckers all across the world that have universal health care. That's how right-wing America is. Even the, right-wingers are like, the health of Americans, fuck the American people's health. That's not important at all. Really? Not at all, huh? Okay. Pedro Castillo, he's part of the Free Peru Party, Free Peru, so that's liberation, right? So is he a left, libertarian? The Free Peru Party is a Marxist party. I don't know if he's Marxist. I don't know if he's a social democrat. He's a union man, okay? We'll just go with the union man, a leftist union man. Maybe socialist, maybe not. Maybe just a pragmatist. Who gives a shit? Let's see what he does. He gets a lot of his support from the forgotten rural class of Peru. His platform is he thinks that the president should get the same salary as teachers get. He wants to nationalize mining oil, hydroelectric gas. He wants to reduce lawmakers' salaries. He wears that big cowboy hat, so there's a gimmick, right? Pedro Castillo wants to keep the silver and copper and lithium wealth inside of Peru. He wants Peruvians to enjoy the wealth that Peru has. Pedro, I don't think he's a communist. I think he said he's not a communist, disavowed them, and he's not part of the Shining Path. He's just a goddamn teacher, a union man. He's against U.S. imperialism. He wants to stop police brutality. He's a lefty liberal. And he wants a new constitution. So this is going to be a constitutional revolution. This isn't just an electoral revolution, but a constitutional revolution on top of it. And that's what he needs to do. Get that new constitution right away. It might take all 4 years or whatever he's in there before that constitution comes about. But get a nice, fair constitution. He says he wants to get the flavor of the people of Peru. He wants the constitution to actually have the flavor and the smell of Peru. He's saying that the goddamn constitution is like not even Peru at all. Pedro Castillo wants bigger pensions, because this was in response to Kiko passing out $20 to everybody. So he's like, well, I want bigger pensions for everybody. He's not going to take away the people's property. He says that if, in fact, he wants the people of Peru to have more money in their pockets with him, he wants to get the Sputnik 5 vaccine. He wants to get foreign companies out of the mining businesses. He wants to get 70% of the profits to go to the state, 30% to go to the private owners. 20% of the Peruvians were undecided, so it would be the 20% that had swayed. Princess Pizarro, it's incredible that, Princess fucking Pizarro, Princess Corruption, Princess Sterilization even had a goddamn chance in Peru. It's incredible that she came this close 3 times in a row. 2015 and 2009 were the last 2 presidential elections. Keiko Fujimori almost became president by the skin of her chinny chin chin. Lost 3 times. I mean, can you imagine? That's William Jennings Bryan, right? So she had the game-winning shot, missed, the shot every time, but had a competitive game all 3 games. But history will forget her. History will forget her because she never became president. So compared to Melanie Stansberry, you have social conservative. He's a social conservative. So there's some problems with Pedro Castillo. I got some reservations. Pedro Castillo is not as... Melanie Stansberry is more progressive on the social issues. Pedro Castillo is more progressive on the economic issues. So compare the New Mexican representative, a white progressive, which is very rare in America to see a white progressive in Congress, which is... It's unheard of. It's unheard of. But Pedro Castillo, he's a homophobic piece of shit who's anti-choice, and he's a Catholic. So strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, right? He's going to, when it comes to religion, when it comes to abortion, when it comes to homosexual rights, don't expect jack shit from Pedro Castillo. He's on the wrong side of history when it comes to that. And also, People could start out good and pure, get into office, and then go corrupt, or they could start out corrupt and get in office and, actually go good and pure and innocent and actually help the fucking people do what's best for the nation and not, for themselves and their friends and family. So it still remains to be seen, but we actually got ourselves like a Bernie Sanders, a socialist, a person who embraces, they're a liberal, they're a lefty, they're a socialist, and that's just how it is. That's just how life is. No, we're lefty, we're union people. Now we're a union family. That's just how it is. No, we're not going to fucking let Rush Limbaugh make us feel, well, you shouldn't care about people. We're not going to make Rush Limbaugh, get rid of the goddamn universal health care, the social safety nets that they have for their people. So Pedro Castillo, I fucking salute you, man. Pedro Castillo comes from poverty. Pedro Castillo, he still keeps his home in Chugar, a fucking poor village, 20 minutes from Puna. And that's an identity that resonates with many Peruvians who live very far away from health. Pedro Castillo's, his sandals were made out of old tires. And this is in spite of Piero Corvetto, the elections branch chief, visited with Keiko Fujimori's people beforehand. And so, Keiko, my God, this is the Popular Force Party. Keiko, that's the name of their political party, was the Force Party. Princess Corruption, Princess Pizarro, Princess Sterilization of Indigenous Women, the Use of Force Party, just the fascist party, the Force Party, the baton-wielding, police brutality, statist, fascist party. Looks like they lost. So that's, not only does Peru go in the best direction that they could have gone, but they didn't go down a totalitarian, fascist, nightmare hellscape. They didn't jump into the fucking corrupt abyss, the unknown, right? What, care about the people or just fuck, Peru? Peru didn't fuck Peru over. Peru voted for Peru. For once in their goddamn life, Peru voted for Peru. And hopefully, the rest of Latin and South America does it because it's not going to happen in the United States of America. Breaking news, Juan Guaido just declared himself the president of Peru. So there you go. Juan Guaido, he's the president of Peru. Him and Bashir Assad, I guess they're going to run Peru together forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Randy Travis. Forever and ever. Forever and ever. What song am I talking about? There's a song. I say, hey, Pedro, I'll sing you a song. What song have I've been thinking about? Okay, here we go. John Legend. It's from Django. Oh, I'm not afraid to do the Lord's work. Yeah, now I'm not afraid to do the Lord's work. Oh, I'm not afraid to do the Lord's work. You say vengeance is His, but I'm going to do it first. I'm going to handle my business in the name of the law. Oh, now if He made you cry, oh, I got to know. If He's not ready to die, He best prepare for it. My judgment's divine. I'll tell you who you can call. You can call. You better call the police. Call the coroner. Call up your priest. Have them warn you. There won't be no peace when I find that fool. Who did that to you? Who did that to you? Now, I don't take pleasure in a man's pain, but my wrath will come down like a cold rain. And there won't be no shelter, no place you can go. It's time for you to put your hands up. Time for surrender. I'm a vigilante, my love's defender. And you're a wanted man, and everybody knows. Yeah, you better call the police, call the coroner, call up your priest, have them warn you, there won't be no peace when I find that fool. Who did that to you? Who did that to you? Pedro Castillo.